Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Spirit Island Spirit Guide for new players. Today, we're talking about a spread of Rampant Green. I think one of the strongest in the box for that. He's a very strong spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, he's very powerful. He's also our second moderate one here, so we're just going to dive in. It's this guy, the green guy. I jokingly call him the Travis's custom spirit. He was playing it with one of the aspects, which made it even more outrageous to look at. But, like, Travis was just doing things. I was like, that happens with this guy? And I forgot he was in the core set because he seemed to be on that. But
yeah, we sat down. It's like, I need a second bag of presence tokens. Justin was like, okay.
And then you just kept like, you're like, I got to put one down every turn and do more. And I'm like, what? And you're like, I got to destroy my presence to stuff. I'm like, what? So,
yeah, sure,
put 2 presents on your starting board, one in the highest number wetland and one in the jungle without any Dahan. If there is more than one such jungle, you may choose. That actually doesn't happen that much, where like you get a choice for multiple things if it does happen. The summary of powers, as we can see, high on defense, but also a little bit offensive and a little bit of utility. Utility generally means like healing the island at this point, like
we got a little bit of that.
What it came up here, but then like some control and some fear. He has like. He's not like some of the other we've seen where it's just like a thin line for any of them. He does a little bit of everything, but he defends very, very well.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go here and talk about starting with the innate power to start painting a picture of what this guy does.
It's green.
Choke the land with green. That's a very violent way of describing a defense high spirit, but that's why there's some offense here. So whenever invaders would ravage or build on land with your sacred site, you may skip it by destroying one of your presence in that land. And then, you're like, that sounds awful, but just you wait till we get to steady regeneration. When adding presence to your board via growth, you may optionally use your destroyed presence. If the island is healthy, do so freely. If the island is blighted, doing so costs 1 energy per destroyed presence you add.
Yeah, these rules, I think, while they are what makes Spread of Rampant Green the spirit that it is, it's kind of its defining part, are pretty much the only reason that it's moderate instead of easy.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're sort of a more experienced board game player, you would have no issues playing this for your first time through the game.
Agreed on that.
On that note, it's also probably my favorite spirit to play with new players, like that I play, and then they play whatever, because it's very good at problem solving. It's very good at holding, like making up for other players' mistakes, and it's very good at helping them along, as we'll see later.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to just destroy one of your presence instead of having a Ravager build happen is kind of insane.
Yes, it's the ultimate defend. It's like even more than infinite. It's infinite plus.
Yeah, it's like infinite twice.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and like you think it feels bad, right? You're like, oh, I'm not supposed to destroy my presence. It's bad, even if I can get it back, because if I'm getting it back before the late game, I'm not advancing. I'm not developing my presence tracks, and but if they were gonna ravage and
destroy
put a
it
blight
anyway
down, they're gonna put it down, so you might as well just kill it and not get the blight.
Yeah, and the longer that you're able to do that as well, the more it's free. But even to your statement of like, I have to grow my board and I want to advance my track, because it's optional to do so. That's for like the late game to ensure that you can still like progress your, like, you make your board and then it's now just, you can't kill me, I am the unstoppable growth of the island, right? Let's take a look at this guy's growth track, because it is the first weird one that we have here. We have always add a presence to a jungle or wetland of a range 2. So,
relentless.
Yeah, before we go anything else, that is such a big, like, flavor-defining thing, and one thing why this game is so good, because mechanically it tells such a good story with this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
but the idea is that
you're always growing.
Yeah, you're always there. You are a spread of Rampant Green. You just do not stop doing that, right? And this just always happening just means that, like, even though when we talked about the vital strength of the earth and all of his things put down presence, right? You have to choose which one you're doing together. And additionally, this guy has some other things up his sleeve, because it's an always, and then you get to pick one of these other 3 options.
Yeah.
The options are reclaim and gain a power card,
which we like.
Add a presence and +1 card play this turn, which is very good. And then we have gain a power card and gain 3 energy, which we also like, right? So what's really nice about this is you can kind of just choose what's best in the moment, right?
Yeah.
If you want to ramp out your growth or start to recoup some of your losses with your steady regeneration, you can do that with the double presence turn, right? Then you get +1 card play, which is really nice. You can gain power cards on 2 options, which means that you're less likely to go into a reclaim loop, and then you can either reclaim cards or gain a bunch of money.
Yep.
What this guy's growth track tells me is that this guy is gonna be good. It's like what this one tells me, right? Like it's so open that you just like look at this one and you're like, wow, there's a lot of choices.
Well,
to make
you kind of have it all going on. Like you get the presence every turn, which is a big part of why you have the state regeneration. So you're not just not doing that late game, and you're developing your presence track every turn, even on your reclaim turns.
Yeah.
And then when you reclaim, you get your power card, which helps prevent those reclaim loops that we've talked about in other videos. Adding a presence, so you have the option to like power out your to further develop your presence track if you have a downturn, or if you just need an extra card play to hit a level on one of your innates or something like that. And then we have the gain a power card and gain 3 energy, which is really nice for the late game because you can fish for major powers and also store up energy to play them.
Yep.
The presence and the card play also is very nice for the late game, where you can just in jungles and wetlands you can just like make sacred sites to protect them, or you can like protect 2 places worth over and over again. When the game gets those bullshit shots where they're like, we ravage in coastals and then we ravage in deserts and then we ravage in deserts and mountains, and you're like
you're looking at your 2 coastal stuff and you're like, oh,
you're looking at your coastal desert and mountain and you're like
the other thing too that's really nice about this is that a lot of spirits will have like presence growth that is also like there's something else nice attached to it, and Rampant Green can always use this, like always, because of that extra steady regeneration. So let's look at our tracks here.
Green.
Green. And likewise with Thunder Speaker, who we talked about 2 weeks ago. It caps out low on energy, so that's where like the gain a power card and gain 3 energy kind of tells you too, is that we're going to kind of be on the lower spectrum for this. But steady growth, not as quick of a bump as some of the other ones we saw, because you start at 0 energy and 1 card play, and you can't you could immediately get to 2 card plays, but you're sacrificing a lot of economy to get there, right? So usually with this one, like you're going to want to get like a good foundation, and then you can start doing more card plays. But the theory is that you're choking out the game in other ways, where you don't need those card plays to defend. You can just use your own presence to get there as well.
Yeah, you'll notice that the energy and the card plays are kind of stretched out because you will always be developing your presence track, and you can power through it a little bit more if you'd like to. Like actually a lot if you want to, and you will be.
And additionally too, the because you have the plus pick 1 that gives you +1 card play, you could remove 1 from each track and still get 2 card plays on the first turn, or like the second turn, depending on how things are going. So it's very easy to make your card plays a little bit higher when you are trying to ramp out during the early game.
When I play this guy, I usually sit at 2 card plays for quite a while. Though I do definitely want the 3rd one.
And then the plants on here again to help hit your thresholds. I mean, it'd be funny if you didn't have any plant ones. That'd be a little bit of a plot twist.
That would be very funny. The second growth option, the presence and card play each turn, is actually a little bit awkward sometimes. I've noticed playing this guy in terms of developing your presence track, where you're trying to work towards getting more card plays because you need them. You can have that card play now, but you don't necessarily have the energy to support it. And you kind of have to pick, do I power through? You can power through to that 3rd card play, so you always have it, and then you might not have enough money to pay for it though. Or you have to decide whether you can survive without that card play. And work on developing that energy track.
I'm a big, and I have had a recent change on how I approach Spirit Island, and I think I've improved with the change, but I actually been focusing on economy first. So with this guy, because you get the +2 presence every turn at range 2, right? I would grab that energy to start, and then use that as a foundation to start then going into the tracks evenly for the next few. But it's one of those things that, again, the board state changes a lot of things, but because you're starting with making 0 money, you don't want to screw yourself over with some money choices.
But on the other side of that, you can, if you power out a whole bunch of presence, you can sometimes afford to just You're like, oh, I can't play my defend card this turn. I guess I have to destroy my presence, prevent a Ravager or something. And that's not the end of the world. That's totally fine.
And the other thing you can also do is, because you gain power cards pretty easily as well, just grab 0-cost minor powers. Because, like, if you have that, basically that +1 card play just says, like, put down, like, do something with this card, right?
Do a thing.
And actually, I did choose in our recommended cards a 0 minor power for that reason, because I think it's pretty relevant.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the innate powers. So we have Creeper's Tear into Mortar. Almost said Mordor. I'm like, this ain't Lord of the Rings. Speed, slow, range 0, target any land. Moon. Dryer just yelled at us. 1 moon, 2 grass, 1 damage to town cities. 2 moon, 3 grass, repeat this power. 3 damage, 3 moon, 4, repeat this power. So if you hit the full threshold, you can nuke a city. If you hit the second threshold, you can, like, destroy a town. That's kind of like the simple damage that this thing deals.
Yeah, for most of the game, though, I find you hit the first one, you're like, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that moon's a little bit awkward. The moon's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to make it good. Like, you can get that second moon to go with the third, to get to the second level, and you start pinging towns. You can also... it's easy to pick up off-color cards because you're so dependent on just green. Mm-hmm. And you don't necessarily need to hit either... You don't need to necessarily be doing either of these to be doing your job. Yep. Your job is to put presence out and then kill your presence to stop ravages and builds. And just hitting the first level, sometimes two, is totally fine. But it's very easy to pick up just random other powers that are like, oh, put down a Badlands.
Yes, which is very big. Yeah.
And then later in the game, pick up major powers that require leaf and other things.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
All-enveloping green is the other one. Fast, range of 1 from a sacred site, which you're going to have. That's what you want.
I hope so, man.
Do it. Any land, range, so 1 water, 3 leaf, defend 2. 2 water, 4 leaf, instead defend 4. 3 water, 1 mountain, 5 leaf, also remove 1 blight. That's where the utility kind of starts to come in. Because you have 2 leaf in your presence track, I mean, you're probably going to have 1 for a while. The second one's going to come much later.
Yeah.
But that means you only have to hit like 2 and 3 for those first 2, which is a lot more manageable.
This innate power is like kind of cracked. It doesn't look like it, but a free defend 2 like every turn is actually so good.
Yes. Yeah. And then in the late game, when like the risk of having blight, like not only you would like removing blight from lands that have it, but you're also still like defending infinite, because at that point you're probably just like putting down your presence in the lands that you want to be able to defend in with your ability, right?
Yeah. I find this guy actually follows a very sort of odd power graph throughout the game, where you start out quite strong because you'll be able to hit the defend 2 relatively easily, get your 2 card plays and your leaf up top. It's turn 2, maybe 3. When you get that online and you've got your free defend, you're feeling good. And then there's like sort of a dead zone till you get to that 3rd card play and the 2nd plant on your top energy track, where you just like kind of fall behind the other spirits, and you have to rely on, as we'll see with the innate or the starting powers, the fact that you've boosted other spirits, that they have to come support you a little bit, and then you get to the late game and you're like ridiculous again.
It is a very nice balance for the character, because like those 2 middle 2s on like the energy, for example, or like those 2 2s on the card plays, you're going to feel them.
Yeah, you don't see that too much in a lot of spirit designs, I don't think, where most of them follow sort of they have a weaker early game, then they become ridiculous in the late game, or you start out, they have like a relatively like flat power level. There's a couple of them that start out quite strong and fall off a little bit.
Yep.
Like
there's some that they say do that, like the animal in the trees, but we don't believe that.
No, you're pretty flat. With one of the aspects, it's true. But having like sort of that like V curve doesn't show up too often.
No. All right, let's look at the starting powers here. We got Fields Choked with Growth. As always, look at the elemental symbols and how they match on this.
This one sucks.
0 cost slow gives you a sun, a water, and a leaf. Range of 1, any land, push 1 town, or push 3 Dahan. It is pretty sucks, yeah.
This one's here to give you a water and a green for 0 energy.
Yes, yeah.
And also a sun for some other cards, because sun and water show up quite a bit. Sun and leaf show up quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. But this is like, it's always kind of nice to have one too where you can just chill for a bit, right? Like you can just like chill, use it for the first few turns, then be like, okay, this is now like to be forgotten for a major. What this card does do though is like, for example, if they first explore into a mountains or a sand and they build a town there, you can push that town out, meaning that then you're basically defended it for the next turn.
Yeah, no, actually, I don't get rid of this card too often. Because it's never really dead. It doesn't do nothing ever. Moving 3 Dahan is almost always relevant, and pushing a town is almost... the odds of one of those not doing something beneficial to you is very low. It's just not impactful.
I get you.
Yeah, it doesn't... you don't plan to use it for things usually. You just kind of play it and you're like, evaluate what you're going to do with it after.
Yeah, that's fair. And also, as I said earlier and you said, that extra power card play, having a 0-cost card that you can just draw for symbols is relevant.
Yeah.
Stem the Flow of Fresh Water is also a 0-cost card. It's slow, gives a water and a leaf. Range of 1 from a sacred site, any land, 1 damage to town and city. If target land is mountain sands, instead 1 damage to each town and city.
I think this card, the flavor of this card is really funny. Or you're like all the green or whatever, you just surround their city, you're like, no, the water is all mine.
Yeah.
And they're like in there, their wells are dried up and they're looking out and there's just this vibrant forest all around their city, and they're like,
what the heck's going on here? This is like a baby version of your innate power. But it's pretty nice for like dealing with mountains and sands, which you do need a plan for to go with. And it works really well with other ping, like mass ping effects that other spirits might have as well.
Yeah, this one's a little awkward, but when it works out, it works out really nicely.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get to that 2 moon, 3 leaf threshold, you can do 1 damage to each town, and then because in the creepers turn to mortar, there are 2 separate instances of damage, you can ping 2 towns and take out both of them.
Yep. Especially if you start getting Badlands too. Like if you see like if their Badlands start falling on the board, you should be like, maybe I should pursue this other build, right?
Yeah. Or if you are getting those moons in mountains and jungles, you can get like a city and a town with it.
Yep. All right, you guys ready to have some fun with Gifts of Proliferation? 1 cost, fast, gives you a moon and a leaf, which is really good because at a certain level this just hits your creeper's terror to mortar.
Yep.
But you get to target another spirit. Target spirit adds 1 presence up to range 1 from their presence. We're rampant.
Yeah, this card's insane.
Yes. This is one that because you have to use it on other players. You can't target yourself with it. But they get to start feeling that spread of rampant green. And being able to ramp spirits is a very powerful thing.
It is. There's a couple spirits where if you play this on them 2 or 3 times in a game, you'll like just steamroll the game.
Yeah. And what's also really helpful is because you have you're always ramping. Like while you don't want to get reclaim loop, if the board is managed, you could just like reclaim for this one to like push things out there because you're also still adding presence. Like if your economy is doing good, you've stabilized all this, or you're also doing this overgrown at night, which we're going to be talking about as well. You're able to just kind of like rush the game. There used to be a minor power that ramped, but they removed it from the game because it was too strong.
I mean, could you imagine if you just like hit that as spread of rampant green?
Yes, I could. And
You're just like shoveling presents into your teammates.
And I also, I mean, while I bemoan it because it was fun when someone started ramping, it really should be spirit specific for ramp. It just feels like
it's such a hard thing to balance.
Yes, and also just like the flavor feels good for this character that they can do this to other people, right? Yeah, John Rockman's just getting like turned up from this. Like he's just going nuts.
I've definitely had games where I played this and then I reclaimed on 2 to play it again. I think because you were playing Snake.
Yes. Oh yeah. And it's just like there's so many spirits. Like I said, this was a V, but there's so many spirits that are like this, like just straight up at a certain point.
The Snake in particular is like, I will feed you the presence and then you will feed me the presence.
Yeah. Overgrown Innate, 2 cost, fast, gives you a moon and a leaf. Fast, range of 1, add 1 presence, target land. So this is only you, but you get to ramp yourself, or if target land has your presence and invaders, 3 fear. So the nice thing is in the early game, this is ramp.
Yep.
In the late game, this is 3 fear, which is 1 less than the player fear that is in the fear pool for your representation of fear.
In the late game as well, this is like 3 energy and a card play for Defend Infinite.
Yep. Because you can add from your little basic
Destroyed
pool.
presence,
Yep. Yep. Which is pretty cool. Very fun cards, though. Those 2 on the right, like, they're just enjoyable. When someone says you can ramp, you're like, you are the kindest person I've ever seen.
Yeah. You're my favorite. If I get a card that gives someone power, it's you.
And that's why Travis likes playing this, because it means you get more goodies in return,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we invest in our friends.
All right, here's some recommendations for this. And look at that.
Power.
No recommended ones here. So, I got Gift of Power as a 0-cost slow.
Ignore the snake on it.
Yeah, no, that's you giving the gift to the snake.
Oh.
Yeah. So, this one's here for multiple reasons. One is because it has every symbol we care about, which is kind of hype.
That
right?
is extremely hype.
But the other thing, too, is that this is a really nice card for you to play with your extra card play, because it's free and the symbols are all relevant. It's just slow. Target any spirit. Target spirit gains a minor power card.
Yeah, this is really everything you kind of want in a minor spirit.
Yep. Yeah. It's.
I guess it could defend in the land, too, but, like, let's be a little greedy.
Why not add to it? But yeah, no, it's a very nice card for just to take for here. Thriving Choke Fungus, apart from having an awesome ass name, is a 1-cost slow power minor. Gives you a moon, a water, and a leaf. Range of 1 from a sacred site, jungle wetland only, and add 1 disease and 1 badland. We've been talking about badlands, and when we were doing it, I was like, did I put a badland one here? And it turns out I did. Look at that.
It's actually, I'm surprised. There are very few cards, I think, that add badlands that aren't associated with, like, sun and fire and earth. So
I mean, I like the flavor for the choke fungus. It really feels like it. I think they did a good job with this one.
No, it really fits with this one.
Yeah. But this is really nice for that creepers tear into mortar thing we were talking about earlier. Did I do 3 minors?
Yeah.
I did. Look at that.
That's okay.
I might have accidentally deleted the major that I put there because I sometimes put some in. But this one is still relevant, I hope. 1 cost, slow, gives you a sun, moon, water, and leaf. Target any spirit. Target spirit may add 1 broken presence to one of your lands. If you target yourself, gain a major power. Otherwise, target spirit gains a power. Okay, no, that does fit. That
is
out.
like very good.
Yeah, good job, Justin.
Yeah.
And then we have for our major Ravage Undergrowth slithers back to life. 3 costs, slow, gives a water, a leaf, and an animal. The animal's just kind of vibing, but that's okay. It's slow, range of 1 from a sacred site. Target a land with blight. Replace 1 blight with 1 growth. 1 fear, 3 damage, push that growth. If you have 3 water and 2 leaf, add 1 growth. You may push it in each land with growth within range 1 of target land. Push 1 town and explorer to a land without growth. Man, some of these are like tongue twisters.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, I hate when I draw my major powers and I see cards like with this where they're like paragraph of text.
Yeah.
And then if you have threshold, another paragraph of text. I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Especially if it has my symbols on it, I'm like, I have to read this one.
Yeah, I have to take the time. So I put this one here. There's actually a lot of options. There's like Gift of Twin Days. Is that the one that's like the one where you can like give a bunch of energy and cards to people and then you take one of the cards as well?
No, Twin Days is like you and the other person play your lowest cost power.
Okay, it's not that. It's the one, but it's like 2 birds on it like this, but it's like...
I know the one you're talking about. They're made of like water.
Yes, yeah, and it's just like, that's a really nice one as well for
Power
this guy.
entwined
Yes,
power, something like that.
Yeah. Where it gives like energy and like they get a power and you get one of the scraps, right? Like that's nice. But the big thing about this character is because you are so good at keeping the board safe, you can take these kind of more utility based powers that kind of just like, as you can see, none of these really like yes, Ravage Undergrowth does deal damage, but none of these like actually just mass nuke things like we've seen in some of the others. This is literally just about making the game better for you and the board and your teammates.
Yeah, for a lot of those other spirits, it's about finding... You look at something like Thunderbird and I know how I'm going to win the game.
Yep.
I'm going to play a bunch of fire and wind cards and I'm going to start popping cities. And you need to find cards that get you there is the difficulty. But with Rampant Green, you can get there no problem. You just need to figure out how to close out, and there's all kinds of options for that.
Yep. 100%. Great spirit though, very fun. He's fun to play. The ramping other people is really fun.
It's fun to play with.
Yep. it's fun to watch someone play them. It's
Yeah.
really good.
It's a nice strategic decision, a nice level of like thought, but it's not like brain melting.
Yes, yeah. No, like you said, this is if you've played a lot of board games, this could be your starting spirit. You could start with this guy, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I believe those are all of our moderate spirits, which means we're going to start moving into some of the two high complexity spirits. We have Bringer of Dreams and Nightmare in the Ocean, and it wouldn't be right to do the Ocean without Bryn, because Bryn is the one who's played it.
He is the Ocean.
Yeah, so many times. Like, I think you and I, we would just be like, yeah, we've seen Bryn do this, so we'll wait for Bryn for that one. Yeah. But we'll see you guys for the next one. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.